Screw you, HBO Max. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great week. Happy death to 2020. Today we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1984 once again follows Diana Prince as she continues to be the lassoed superhero Wonder Woman, this time 40 some odd years later. And instead of dealing with the truth, she's dealing with more lies. So today is going to be the spoiler-free review. I'm also going to be doing, right at the beginning of the year, a spoiler discussion with my friend John Payton, who was on my Rise of Skywalker discussion / spoiler review. Check that out if you haven't seen it, but if you did like that, check our Wonder Woman discussion beginning of next year. So as I said in my Soul review, I didn't do this review first like I was going to, and the reason was because I was debating whether to actually watch this on HBO Max, considering they're screwing over a lot of big companies and theaters and everything and all these directors. And so I was trying to decide whether or not to just completely boycott them. But I did say that I was going to be reviewing it, so I figured I'd watch this one, get it out of the way, and then start my boycott next year. Seriously, guys, please just try to not watch anything on HBO Max next year. If you can get to the theater, great. If you can't, and you're being safe, just wait. I had heard a lot of good things about Wonder Woman when it first came out. Then I heard a lot of okay things. Then I heard a lot of criticism. I don't know whether it was just because it was hyped down so much, but I liked this a lot more than people were saying I was going to. Starting off with the highs, obviously Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman once again. She's incredible. I fully believe her all the time. She is badass. She's just like, she knows the role now, and it's great. And I loved her growth. In the first one, she was confident as hell, but she wasn't in the know about things here. And that was a really great thing because she could come in and point out, well, this is stupid. Well, that's wrong. Why do you do it this way? In this one, though, she's acclimated to life in America, which is kind of cool. And it's cool because you can see that separation between she knows what should be done, but she's also trying to just like live life here. So there's that little bit of like, she's a lot more confident, but she's also a lot more reserved. Obviously, also because she has lost Steve Trevor. And 40 years later, she's still dealing with that loss. Until, for reasons you will know once you've seen the movie, and I'm not going to spoil, Steve Trevor comes back and played once again, sort of, by Chris Pine. If there was one really, really great subplot to this movie, it was Steve and Diana. Their relationship, if possible, was even better in this one than in the first, because they already had all of that foundations and that grounding, and they could just be with each other. And there was a lot more stakes in terms of their relationship this time. And it felt like, you know, that whole time is precious thing. They really put their all into that emotion, into those moments when they were together. I really genuinely loved it, and I don't normally care as much about that. Also, the role reversal in this one is really great and kind of hilarious in that in the first Wonder Woman, Steve is showing Diana everything in America, telling her what everything is, kind of showing her how it all works. Whereas in this one, because he's come back 40-ish years later, she's showing him all the new stuff that's coming up. And especially because it is the 80s, there's a lot of weird stuff and a lot of technologically advanced stuff from the 40s. So that was a great scene of him seeing all that stuff and also trying on all these terrible outfits. I love the way that this one felt too, because in the first one it's very gritty, very grounded, which was perfect for that movie. In this one, it starts out right away like that comic book feeling where it's just like Wonder Woman's here in the mall in a colorful mall to save the day. And it just felt much more comic book, which I was like, you know what? If you don't want to do the same thing over again, that's a great way to go with it, is sticking to that very comic book feel of Wonder Woman is here and everyone knows this is Wonder Woman. And I don't know, it was very cool. And it was a lot more lighthearted, kind of like Thor Ragnarok, you know, but in the DC universe. It is also an incredibly good looking movie. The cinematography is beautiful, the camera work is wonderful, and there's a lot of really great visual scenes, specifically one that involves fireworks. In terms of the story, I thought it was a really great concept. It was a really great idea, And the twists that they have in terms of the villains, I actually thought was really interesting and kind of clever. I didn't get it at first, but later on it seemed to really I understood that this was actually a really interesting idea. However, and this gets into the lows of the movie, while the concept is great, some of the execution is not as awesome. There's a lot of exposition, a lot of goofy and kind of cartoonish execution, especially when it comes to the villains. Pedro Pascal, in particular, is very over the top. And while it works in some scenes, in some it just I don't know. It's too weird and goofy for this movie, even being lighthearted. And then obviously there is Cheetah, played by Kristin Wiig, and I thought that her transformation into Cheetah, while very cool, was not earned. It was weird how not fast, but just abruptly she changed from I'm a dork to I'm cool to I'm Cats 2020. Like, it just didn't feel like there was a smooth transition enough. It just felt like I'm mean now. There's literally a moment in the movie where somebody goes, "You don't have to be so mean about it." And that was probably a big part of the problem is this script, while again interesting in concept, the actual writing gets really bad. There's a lot of not great lines in this movie. There's some really expositional lines, there's some very cheesy lines, and there's just some lines that I'm like, that just fell really flat. And honestly, it probably would have benefited the movie if it had been shorter. This is a very long, slow burning movie, and not like everything is like uninteresting, but it's just like they take these 3 or 4 subplots and the plot itself and just draw it out in scene after scene after scene for something that probably could have been a little shorter. I like that they took time with the characters. That was really great. But I definitely felt like this could have been like just a 2-hour movie instead of a 2.5-hour movie. But I will say, Kristin Wiig did a really good job considering the script. Her character is very Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. She's just like, I'm unpopular and unhappy, so I'm gonna be mean. So overall, I enjoyed it. There were just some things that were not executed well, but I still thought that there was some really great ideas. I still honestly was into the movie the whole time. There was some really interesting things. Some people said that there was a lot of weird things, but that kind of goes along with the concept. The only weird thing, I don't completely understand why they did it, was that something with Steve and how he comes back. And I'm not going to spoil it. I will talk about it in my spoiler discussion with Jalan, but I just wasn't sure. I think I have an explanation as to why they did it, but they didn't talk about it. It was just very abstract and weird. Also, as a side note, it was very cool watching this movie because there were some things that I saw in the movie, like on this, well, not big screen, but my TV, that I've actually been to because they shot in DC for a good part of it. And, I live in Maryland, so that was very cool. Like the Green Line and the Air and Space Museum and all these other places that I was like, that definitely is so cool to see all these big actors standing where I sometimes have stood in my life. And it was really cool because some of my friends actually were able to be PAs on set. They were on there for like 4 or 5 days. They didn't get credits in the movie, so that's not okay. So shout out to those friends who were able to do that because apparently it was kind of rough in terms of like very, very quick turnaround times and everything, but y'all did an amazing job. So go see Wonder Woman. It's on HBO Max. If you're able to see it in theaters, go see it in theaters. But if you're staying safe or your theaters aren't open, then I would say watch it on HBO Max just once and then boycott HBO Max forever. I'm going to give Wonder Woman 1984 a 2.5 out of 4. It's the end of the year. It's the death to 2020. I'm very excited for this new year. I know nothing's going to change after midnight turns. I'm not that stupid. Look forward to a lot more movie reviews. I'm going to be playing a lot of catch up in January before I do my official 2020 end of the year list and ranking of all of the movies. I'm going to be doing a lot of mini reviews on my Instagram, so please check that out, movie_in the middle. I'm going to be doing a lot of official reviews for some movies that have already come out, but I'm just catching up on and I have a lot of thoughts on. And then obviously doing movie reviews for ones that come out next year, which, if things go the way that they're supposed to go, we have an incredible slate of movies to come out. Look forward to all that, a lot more other segments. I have a lot of ideas in mind. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys next year.